Welcome, Ed. How are you? Thank you for joining us today on another version of the Thought Leader interview series. I think we're all excited to learn a little bit about project management optimization today. But before we dig in and get going, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Sure, Phil. Thanks. Happy to be with you again, doing another of the thought leader interviews. And my background has been pretty consistent. I was with Westinghouse Corporation for over 32 years. I worked initially in engineering analysis work, but as we moved into being a project organization, I really took to project management and became a project manager, and then eventually was the director of our project management office. So during that time, I got some great experience working with all different types of projects, managing projects from engineering development to manufacturing, facilities, and even some information system projects. So that's a little bit about my background. I'm happy to be here today talking in particular about project management optimization.
Yeah, that's great, Ed. Thank you. And also want to thank you for all you've done for us here at the firm over past, I can't believe it's been almost 10 years now, but
Yeah.
it's been an astounding journey. And we certainly appreciate all the great contributions to our clients across the project management and program management spectrum as well. So let's dig right in. We'll start at the top here, and a lot of people still don't really know what project management optimization means. Is it a process orientation? Is it a methodology? Is it both? So let me pose that question with the intent to kind of kick off this session. How exactly do you define, or what is meant by project management optimization?
Well, to answer that question, Phil, I'll start with the fact that, as you know, often organizations will come to consultants looking for improvements related to execution time or cost, front-end processes, etc., wanting to be maybe more proactive in their project management. So what what's done in project management optimization is first to make sure we're taking a strategic approach, make sure we're aligned with the organization's vision and goals and objectives. And then secondly, what we aim to do is to refine and streamline and ultimately enhance the project management processes and uh, the entire approach to project management. And then as a result, we want better outcomes, making sure projects are delivered on time, within the budget, and aligned with the goals and the scope. And better value. Project management today is all about value, making sure that the results are done most efficiently and achieving objectives at the least cost and schedule. So the key benefits are increased efficiency, cost savings, better collaboration, risk reduction.
Yeah, great insights, Ed. So if I'm sitting in a PMO of a larger enterprise, what indicators would I have, or what KPIs should I be looking at to know that we need PM optimization? Would it show up in our overall project output? Should I be looking to the entirety of the portfolio of all the projects that we're working on, or are there precise indicators that I might find in individual projects, or maybe all of the above?
It's important, as I said, often an organization will come to a consultant and say something like, we're really struggling with our cost management. Can you help us with that? Well, as we get involved, we see and we try to help them understand that project management, I learned a long time ago, is really a system, and it must be looked at from a system perspective. And a good way of looking at it is the old Project Management Institute performance triangle, where you've got a equilateral triangle with scope, cost, and time on the sides, so that if the cost grows, well, that makes the scope be impacted as well as the time. And if you put quality in the middle, quality will impact all three of those areas. So we end up looking at it as a system in terms of helping the organization see where the focus needs to be. And we look at four areas: people, processes, technology, and organization.
Mhm.
Are the people really exhibiting the features of a high-performing team, and are the processes well in place, standardized? Are they governed? Are they monitored? Is the technology the right technology for the organization? And is it being fully utilized? And is the organization the correct organization for their strategic vision of what they want to be and what they want to do? So those are some of the things that an organization can look for in terms of, do they need to optimize their PM processes?
Yeah, some good insights there. So, Ed, let's say we move from the phase of realizing that we do need to optimize our project management process. What is the best approach to go at it? Is it something that I could internalize with my team as a project management officer, or is it something that we would need to get more of the wider enterprise involved in? I think more importantly, as an outside firm, how would you be approaching the execution and implementation of that project in a collaborative way? Now, I know here at AMS, we have a very standardized client-centric engagement model, and I know that you've worked this methodology in against that. But as I sit again from the outside looking in, what do you think the best way to approach this would be?
Well, first, I would say yes, I believe there is a general approach that should be taken. But before we get to that, I want to say that I strongly believe that there are two key requirements that must be in place for a successful project management optimization. The first is senior management must be there, present with strong support and buy-in to the whole process and the results. Secondly, it's really important that the organization recognize the need for change and welcome it. In other words, a strong change culture led by senior management. So then there is a general approach which is flexible and it's adaptable based on the type of business, type of organization, the project management approach, whether it's traditional or agile or hybrid. And that general approach involves, first, what is the current state? What's going on right now in the project management life cycle in the organization? And recognizing where the shortcomings might be. What is then, secondly, what's the desired state? What is the organization looking for? Are they looking to really improve the front end? Are they looking for the execution to be better monitored, et cetera? What's the desired state? Then after that, you can look at the gaps. Where are the inefficiencies? Where's inefficiencies, or where are the opportunities for improvement? Those can then be very much more refined by using value stream mapping, which is the process of basically mapping the workflow from beginning. You might start at the bid, no bid process, all the way through project initiation, execution, or planning, execution, et cetera, to closing,
Mhm.
mapping out visually the workflow. Then we're looking for information flow inefficiencies, and there are at least 50 that we're looking at, such as over-processing of information, lack of coordination, excessive meeting time, lack of information, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very interesting when we do that with a team from the company, how the kind of response we get, that they are very excited because they're finally able to look at the business, stepping back and looking at it and seeing what they thought all along were some of the problems, and then opening their eyes to others that they didn't even know were there. So from there, we can look at those inefficiencies, start developing with the team from the company to create a solution and a plan to implement that solution. For
Right.
example, on the people side, we might be looking at gaps in training. On processes, we might be seeing the need to modify or even write and standardize a process. Technology might need changes with respect to inefficiencies and not providing the data needed.
Mhm.
And of course, the organization might need to be changed to drive these changes.
Hmm.
So that's a quick overview of what kind of approach is often taken.
Yeah, you know, Ed, what I like out of that is we're really always focusing on the organizational development aspect of this because project management has become, such an overarching enterprise tool that we really do need to look at all of those ancillary or collateral type of impact points. And I love that answer because it doesn't just focus in on kind of the basics of project management methodology, but you're touching really on project management across the enterprise and in the organization. So that's great. Based on what you've told us here today, Ed, could you give us some concrete examples or results that either you've experienced or that you feel can be experienced by undertaking this effort?
Sure, Phil. That's a great question. And in fact, seeing the concrete results is really rewarding after working through a change process like this. And some of the things that we've seen in terms of processes, seeing improved and actually documented, standardized project plans, for example, and then becoming proactive rather than reactive. In other words, the plan drives the work rather than the work causing the plan to be reactive. In addition, a lot of times, for example, we've seen that value stream mapping has shown um, that the time to create a product proposal was 3 times what it took to create a proposal for a development project. So the product proposal process improvements that we put in place significantly improved that process. Well, there was more clear ownership, there was
Mhm.
leadership, standard proposal planning, etc. We've seen an organization move from a somewhat confused organization, not knowing whether they were functional or project oriented, to an effective matrix organization where there was now efficient collaboration between the functional managers and the project managers because they each had a better understanding of their roles.
Mhm.
Training needs, when they're established, will drive people to really want and get the training they need. For example, we had a group realize their need for project management training, actually uh, sat through a program to become certified, to take the certification exam for the Project Management Institute professional or project management professional certification.
Mhm.
And then
Great.
technology. We've seen improvements in using reports from ERP systems in place of manual spreadsheets. And that, of course, obviously significantly improving efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good stuff. And I think it resonates to what I said just previously is that wider enterprise approach to applying this process is recognized in multiple ways, not just on the particular project. So there's certainly a pretty big value proposition at an organizational level for executing this appropriately. So let me shift gears a little bit and ask you the question that is rising to the top of so many people's minds these days. But as far as AI goes. And I know we've done a lot of work with integrating AI into certain components of the project methodology. And as you know, with Corner and Joe Rain is doing a lot of the AI research for us. We certainly have a wealth of data and information on that. But I'd like to hear from you maybe, some more of the operational or tactical insights as to how you see AI integrating into project optimization specifically and maybe project management generally.
Sure. Great, Phil. I'm really glad you asked about artificial intelligence because it's obviously a huge area in business today. In fact, various business surveys indicate that organizational AI adoption is really no longer a choice, but it's a necessity to keep up with the business. I like to start with understanding what we mean by AI in the context of project management. The project management organization, for example, identifies 3 key elements involved in artificial intelligence. and the use of it. First is perception. That's the ability to understand the environment and process all the data in that environment that's provided. Then prediction is enabling a machine to recognize patterns and use that recognition to predict future events, for example. Those predictions can continuously be improved uh, by continuously iterating on what it's observing. And as a result, there's resultant learning that's continuously improved. And so that's a real-time predictive tool. From that perception and prediction, then you get planning. You use what's perceived and the lessons from the pattern observations to make decisions and to develop plans. So by taking a structured approach to the adoption of artificial intelligence, decision making can be enhanced. It drives operational excellence and enables an organization to gain a competitive edge. Here's a couple examples of how AI can actually be used in project management optimization. First, using an AI framework, benchmarking against industry best practices in a particular area can be done in a way that is real time and adaptive. That's the continual learning by taking the iterative approach of looking at the results. From that, that's the perception, that's the planning. Secondly, using real-time data from maybe a facilitated session of simulations that can be run and it will validate then various potential outcomes and assess the operational impact before implementation. So that's prediction. In other words, where data exists related to an environment, AI is an effective tool for identifying effective changes as well as simulating future results. Now, that's far beyond, the reason it's far beyond what we can do manually is because of the volume of the data that's out there and the ability of AI to access that data. Beyond the use of AI in a project management optimization project, we can look at PM optimization as a subset of a broader role of ongoing transformational management of an organization. It's often achieved via a transformational management office or TMO within the organization. It has broad responsibilities related to transformation of the organization, but among those responsibilities, the TMO will be charged with overseeing and facilitating the integration of AI technologies into a strategic and a consistent manner throughout the organization. Secondly, by looking at the potential use cases of AI, and they can assess the readiness of an organization for AI. It can manage the change and the transformation necessary to adopt AI in the organization. So this is just a glimpse of how AI fits first into PM optimization, as well as a more comprehensive transformation management office approach for the organization, the challenges of which John Hom covered extremely well in a recent thought leader interview with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great that you point that out, Ed. I appreciate that. And for all the viewers, I'll put a link to that interview in the comments of this one, as well as some other AI related topics that are very relevant to both our capabilities and both what we're talking about here today as well. So, Ed, as we conclude this interview, could you just take a moment and kind of pull this into a nutshell and kind of summarize where you think the takeaway points are from today's presentation?
Sure. My conclusion is that project management optimization is really a vital strategy for organizations who are aiming to achieve and to thrive in a competitive environment. Any organization can benefit from this approach to improvement. because the next level of maturity and efficiency is always there, ready to be achieved, which in turn will create an organization that's better able to reach the goals and to provide improved value for the whole company.
That's great. Thank you, Ed. Well, this has been very insightful. I certainly appreciate your expertise and time today to share some of that. As I said, you can contact us to the viewing audience. You can contact us via the QR code or at amsconsulting.com/contact. And Ed or myself or anyone on our solution team will always be available to talk about your unique challenges. And we are always looking for innovative ways to serve the industry. So we appreciate it. And Ed, again, thank you for your time today, and we'll look forward to the next one. Have a good day.
Thanks, Phil.